Hi Tom and Tracy. What I'm going to do today is show you how to create a quiz in Cougar View. What I've done is I have imported the publisher test question bank in your courses. So to get to that, I'm going to click on assessments and then quizzes, and I'm going to go to question library. Now, this course is Tom's online course, so I'm just using that for the purposes of this video. So if you click on Question Library, what you're going to see is the chapter questions for all 25 chapters of your text. Okay? If you just want to take a look at the different chapter questions, you can click on the folder, and it's going to list each one of the questions. And if you want to preview the question, you can click preview and it'll give you more information. So that is the question library. But what we want to do is create a quiz. So I'm going to come up here and click on the new quiz button, the blue button, and you'll title the quiz. Okay, it could be chapter 3 or chapter 3 and 4, however you want to do that. And what we're most interested right here is getting questions in the quiz. So if I come down here to add edit questions, it's going to bring up this window. Now, if you have not, if you've never created a quiz in your course, it's probably going to give you a window that asks if you want the new quizzing experience, and you'll click yes, and then you'll see this window. So when you're ready to add questions, come over here to import, because we want to pull the questions from the test bank. If you have your own questions you want to add, you've written your own questions, you can just click the add button. But what we want to do is grab some of those questions from the question library. So click import and then click browse question library. And as you can see, it brings up a window here, and I see that we have 1,800 questions. And that is all the questions in each of the chapters, starting with chapter 1, and it goes all the way down to chapter 25. If we want to see what questions are in each of these chapters, we can just click this arrow right here, and that will show which questions are in this chapter right here. If I'm interested in this question and I just want to make sure that it's a good question and that the answer is correct, I can come all the way over here to this little icon and click on it, and it will show me the question as it would appear, how it would look grading, indicating the correct answer. So to create a quiz, if we're creating one on chapter 3, we can go through and we can select the different questions that we want to include in our quiz. And once we have our questions selected, you can click Add. Now this will show you that these are the questions that are going to make up our quiz. If I go back to the settings for the test, I can see that these are the questions that are now under Add Edit Questions. If I decide that I don't want the value to be only 1 point, I can edit the values, and that'll give me the opportunity to choose a different point value. You can also shuffle the questions, which will mean that each student will get the same questions in a different order. If you only want the questions to appear and not allow the student to move backwards through the pages, you can do that here. You can set it to where the only 1 question per page, if you like. But whatever changes you make on this page, be sure and click Save. because then your settings will be saved. Next, we're going to move to the Restrictions tab. And this is where you will set the availability, the start date and the end date. If you put a date in here, the start date, the quiz will open at this date and time, and it will end. That means that students will have access to it on this day and time and will lose access to it on this day and time. If you only set a due date, then the student will be notified, or the quiz will show that this quiz has a due date of this day and time. And if they submit the quiz, they'll still have access to the quiz outside of this day and time, and it'll indicate that it is past the due date. As we scroll down, you'll see that you are able to As we scroll down, you'll see that you are able to set timing for the quiz. And remember, a good rule of thumb is about 1 minute to 2 minutes per question. So if you have 10 questions, you should probably only set about 10 minutes. Here you have some behavior settings. If the student exceeds the 10 minutes plus the grace period, you can allow the student to continue working. You can prevent the student from making further changes, or you can allow the student to continue working and extend the grace period deadline. If you allow the student to continue working, you'll still get an indication that the student went over the allotted amount of time. If you have special access to set for a student, you can do that here. If you need to set special access, keep this radio button selected, then click on Add Users to Special Access, and when you do, scroll down and select the student that needs special access. Select their name and add special access. Then scroll down to the bottom and you will see that that student's name then appears. You can click on this pencil and then add the special access. Once you have made these changes, you can click Save and go to the Assessment tab. Remember, especially if it's a multiple choice true false, that you want to allow the attempt to be graded immediately upon completion, because that way the system will grade the quiz for you. Also, add a grade item. And remember to auto export to grades. That will put the grade in the gradebook for you. You can allow more than one attempt. Anytime you make changes on a page, just go ahead and click Save. We don't really need to work with objectives. However, under Submission Views, this will allow you to set how a student will see and what the student will see once the quiz has been completed. The default is that students aren't able to see any of the questions or the answers. So to change this, we can click on Default View, and here answer these questions if you want to show the questions, and maybe only the ones the student answers incorrectly. And also click Show Question Answers. And since we made a change on this page, we will just click Save. So once you have gone to the submission views, you can just click Save and Close. We don't really do anything with objectives or report setup. So just click Save and Close. All quizzes default is being closed to the user or hidden from the user. So if you want to open this or neglected to open it, you can just click this drop down arrow and select Make Visible to Users. Since I'm doing this in the live course, I won't make this visible. Also, we can see under Assessments and then Grades. If I click on Manage Grades, under Quizzes, we can see that our grade item is then listed. If you have any questions or need any additional information, please feel free to reach out to me.